Hello and welcome back to VGC. Marvel Rivals is now in its closed beta, and I decided to bring on my rival to chat about it. It's Aaron Bain from Push Squared. How are you, love?
I'm doing good, Jordan. How are you?
Good. I'm going to start with an immediate complaint.
Okay.
On the PlayStation 5,
hmm
this executable is called Marvel Rivals Close Beta. Not
Oh,
closed. It's called Close Beta, as in I'm going to close this because it's a crap Overwatch. Kidding on. That's a bit harsh. It's a bit too far. Yeah. So Marvel Rivals. This is the second chance I'm getting to play it because I played it at Summer Game Fest. Played a few games. This closed beta seems to be rolling out to a lot of people. There's even mechanics within the game for you to generate codes to send to your friends. Top line, it's a Marvel take on Overwatch. A lot of the characters have abilities that are very similar to the point where you can go, okay, Star Lord is Tracer. You can go Iron Man is Farah. Like, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Very similar modes. The cast is basically everyone in Marvel gets a look in. It's not like there's X-Men, there's Avengers, there's Spider-Man, there's all these people. No Fantastic Four people, but I'm sure they'll come down the line. Top line, how much have you played of the closed beta, and how are you feeling on it so far?
I have probably sunk about 3 to 4 hours into it at this point. Not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but obviously enough to get a sense of it. And I don't like this game.
Yeah.
I do not like this game much at all.
Where are you on Overwatch? Set that up first. Where were you on Overwatch? Where are you on hero shooters generally?
I mean, I'm a big hero shooter guy. I sunk a lot of time into Apex Legends back in the day. Overwatch is something I've always enjoyed. I've never been like a diehard. I've maybe only got about 25 hours in the PS5 version of Overwatch 2. So
Mm.
like, yeah, like a little bit, enough to see the similarities immediately. And but not like a diehard there. But I do love my hero shooters. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the only guys that was bigging up Concords when it was having its closed beta last
I
weekend.
liked Concord when I played the PlayStation.
Hell
Like,
yeah, hell
I
yeah.
was away when the beta was happening, so I couldn't be on the front lines defending it. But yeah,
But yeah, not. As a fan of hero shooters, I am not a fan of Marvel Rivals.
okay. Um, I'm a huge, well, I was a huge Overwatch fan. The
Mm.
year it came out on PS4, I put in like 800 hours according to that little end of year thing that they used to do. I was the best. I was the best Zarya in Europe, Grandmaster Zarya, and competitive, better at Zarya than Lemmy was. Like, it was a really, Overwatch was maybe the game I was best at ever.
hmm
So I absolutely loved Overwatch. Don't play it much these days because I think what they did with Overwatch 2 was kind of a disaster. Like, it all kind of ran out of steam, and it's also, it feels like you can't go home again. You know, when you're in love with a competitive game like that and you fall out of it, it's so hard to get back to like those halcyon days of
Yeah.
skipping uni to play Overwatch all day, or staying up all night and therefore skipping uni again to play Overwatch all day. Um, but yeah, I like it, but I wonder if I just like it because it's pinging Overwatch things in my head. Like, there are sound effects that are almost identical. There is obviously weaponry and kind of attacks that are so similar. Like, I played a lot of Star Lord because I liked playing as Tracer in Overwatch kind of casually, and you're jumping in with two dashes, you're shooting, and then you're jumping away. Like, it's that Star Lord also has a Reaper style attack. Like, it's very
hmm
difficult to quantify this game without talking about Overwatch because it's not just inspired, it is so kind of one to one, and so many of the kind of combat archetypes, so many of
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like literal parts of maps that are like, this junction here, this choke point feels exactly like this map I've played 1,000 times in Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's strange how close they've got to it. I think the only
I
main differentiating factor is, I mean, things like the team up, which we'll get into.
yeah.
But yeah, I like playing it, but at the same time, it's like it's no Overwatch.
I think the similarities, I would go as far as saying, like, how have they managed to make this
How is it legally distinct?
How is it? I swear to God, there's like I said, someone has played Overwatch, but I'm not like a daily player. And immediately I was in a match, and I'm like, the commentator kind of sounds similar. This hit marker looks and sounds the same. The tracer rifles on Star-Lord, and like the Reaper attack. And to me, it seems like it's NetEase Games, isn't it, that made this?
Yep.
It's like they had an afternoon. They went, right, let's look at the Overwatch roster. Take a guy. What Marvel superhero suits this? And they just went through one by one and made all of them just the Overwatch characters. And then they go, well, we can't copy it exactly, so let's maybe take this power and put it in with this person and mix it up a little bit. And there's aspects there like maybe you could argue are different, but it's insane to me that like visually, like audio wise, everything, there's like so much here when I'm playing this. I'm like, how has this man, you know, you hear Overwatch clone all the time just kind of thrown around. Concord got it as well, but I've never seen a game that it's more applicable to than this game.
It's weird. You remember last week when the first Descendant got into trouble for copying like Destiny 2 icons? Like,
yeah,
it's almost like that. The problem is if you're going to make an Overwatch clone, that is fine, but it has to be better than Overwatch. It can't just be at its best as good as. There is never a moment in Marvel Rivals where it exceeds Overwatch, which I think is going to be a real problem for people that loved Overwatch back in the day, want something different. And I don't think this will be it. If you're not getting what you want out of Overwatch 2, Marvel Rivals isn't some breath of fresh air to kind of get you what you want. Yeah, it's a strange one. I think that it might find an audience purely based on being free to play, being Marvel, being a new thing, but there is so much free to play happening all the time that's not really a guarantee. Can you foresee a world in which this maybe not hits, but is comfortable? Because it's not going to be the biggest game in the world, but does it have a survivable chance?
I think so. I think so, purely based on the idea of this being Overwatch Marvel. I mean, that is a pretty easy selling point. And going by the Steam database numbers, it's had a a bigger launch than Concord, that's for sure.
Well,
and
how many Concords has it got?
But like, I think that in its own will be something that people will latch on towards. Like, oh, cool! I get to play Spider-Man. Like, you know, I mean, I say that like previous examples of superhero games have done extremely well, but I do think the free to play aspect and it being this kind of format, I think there will be an audience there for it. But I just, like you're saying, I don't even think it comes anywhere close to what Overwatch does. I don't think it feels like a premium shooter. I think there's moments of it where I think it even feels like a mobile game. And maybe that's me being a little dramatic, but there's, especially when like you're flying Iron Man about, and it's got this twitchy look to it, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel nice. And I don't think it has that tactical kind of feel to the gameplay where you go, oh, I'm going to dip in and out of cover or something, or I'm going to run around to do this. I feel like there's just a lack of readability with the game and sort of tactile feel to the gameplay that is there with Overwatch. And it doesn't hit for me.
Devil's advocate, obviously, at the start of Overwatch, no one knew what all the abilities were. No one could sight read all of the characters, but I do get what you mean. And yeah, there's moments where the movement doesn't feel smooth, or sometimes it feels faster than other times. Like, it doesn't feel like, this is perhaps a weird thing to say considering the esports ambitions are kind of what ruined Overwatch, but Overwatch always felt incredibly tight. And maybe that's just because it's Blizzard, and Blizzard know how to make like a mechanically pretty much perfect game. But you're going to get those comparisons, and the feel of a game is so hard to talk about and so hard to quantify, but it doesn't feel as good as Overwatch at any point. And I wonder if that we've talked a lot about how the abilities and stuff, for lack of a better word, are like copied from Overwatch characters. Once you start doing that, if you're an Overwatch player, you immediately have expectations of how a character feels and how a character plays, because you have like this weird phantom muscle memory of when I'm playing Star Lord. I'm like, okay, I'm wanting to get in there, and I can get out as quickly as I can, but I can't because it's like slightly different. So I think
Yeah.
mapping abilities to kind of similar, like Star Lord is a squishy 200 health character that has like the Tracer and the death, not the death, well, it's kind of Death Blossom from Reaper, but doesn't have this big recall ability. Scarlet Witch has like Moira powers, so there's a lot going on. It's quite a big roster for the beta, and I think that's also perhaps slightly difficult to when it comes to reading all the characters and understand what everyone does. But I'm not gonna bash them too much for that, because Overwatch, similarly, when you first start playing it, there's no way to really know what everyone does. You just
Yeah.
learn by doing. Yeah, I wonder where in the market this can hit, because it feels like if it I don't is it coming out on mobile? I'm not sure. I'm not. It must come.
I'm
It
not
must be
actually
coming
sure
out
if
on
it is or
mobile.
not.
It feels like if it can hit there, maybe it's got a chance because of the Marvel thing. Because there's a lot of really successful Marvel mobile titles, but I don't know where it will land on PlayStation. I'm
I
not
th-
I'm not drawn to it particularly. I'm not. While we're sitting here talking about it, I could easily never play it again and not really think about it.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, see, when you talk about these games, then they need to do something like exciting to really to bring you on board. And despite, I mean, as much as Concord got ridiculed for it, I do think at the very least that felt like really good to play.
Oh
And
mate,
I
I'd rather
think,
play. I want to play Concord again, and
yeah,
I played that for like 4 hours straight. After I played Concord, I was like, I can play some more of this. Still not sure if it's actually going to hit or anyone's going to play it, but I'd like to play more of it.
yeah,
Now,
there was a
after
premium feel to
this
that.
after this second session and of have like played at Summer Game Fest, playing it now, it's like, I mean, I could play more matches and like do the Galactus Battle Pass, which I think is laid out pretty well. Get new skins and stuff like that. Learn a couple of new characters, but
Yeah,
I just can't be bothered. You know, there's just nothing like dragging me towards it.
I think there is like a better path that you can see within Marvel Rivals for its post-launch stuff. I mean, literally, like you're saying, Fantastic Four aren't there. Drop Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, and like that in its own, like there's stuff to look forward to purely based on it being the Marvel roster that like
Yeah.
something like Concord would never have. Because you know, you go, oh, we got a new alien character from the Concord universe, and folk are like, all right, cool.
That's
but
the
then
cheat code though. Like
yeah.
I don't think like the breadth of the license is kind of all that. That isn't going to make me too excited, because also a lot of the characters can't feel like you want them to because of the limitations of the game. Like Spider-Man can swing a bit, but he obviously can't swing constantly. He can't have infinite web. Like,
Yeah,
there are
Bruce
characters
Banner
that
is
work.
so weird. Like
Yeah.
the fact that they went for he's Bruce Banner with a gun and a grenade, and then partially
He's
his
Diva.
ult is
He's Diva.
Yeah.
He is literally Diva, and then he comes out the baby Diva, and you shoot him. The like when that happened, I was like, okay, come on now. Like when they were all on the car and like Bruce Banner the Hulk dies and Bruce Banner standing there, it's like and he disappeared behind the car. It's like this has happened 1,000,000 times in Overwatch, where the Diva dies, the baby Diva jumps out the back, and you're like, get her, and you lose because you dive in after her. Like, it's the best
Yeah.
thing I can say about Marvel Rivals is it reminded me how good Overwatch used to be. And I'm not sure they're going to put that on the non-existent box, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, maybe want to
I
play
don't think
Overwatch.
I'm not having a bad time with it. None of the games I've played, none of the matches I've played have I thought, oh, this is poor. Like, it's fine. I think the art style was cool. Like, I think the characters all
art
look
style's
really
nice.
nice. The maps are kind of cool. They're segmented in the sense that one of them's on Asgard, so it'll be like the start of it. You're going through like a Bifrost garden, then like Odin's throne and stuff like that. They have a lot to work with, and as soon as they start being like, here's all the skins, here's we have 90 years of comics to make skins out of, like they'll be fine in that regard. But the actual game is hung on, not sold.
So the biggest like change, I suppose, with this game is the synergy team ups, right? And I found that these kind of broke the game, and I think there's an element of like, this is the early days, people don't really know how it's going, but I always felt like if you didn't have a synergy and the enemy team did, like, you were done. You were done. I mean, I
if
played
you don't
a
have a
game.
Groot and Rocket on your team, you're basically done for. It's like unstoppable.
Yeah, I felt like there was a real confusion of like healing abilities as well, where like people were able to be out healed by the amount of damage that they were taking. So you would, it was really easy for you to die as somebody that was getting healed, rather than it being like a bit of a boon, but you could still overcome it if you brute force it or anything. It didn't feel like there was the possibility there. And I mean, to talk about the synergies from one map, I played with some of my mates yesterday, and one match where we didn't have a synergy, we got destroyed. Like, straight out the gate, game was done within 5 minutes. The next game, we had a synergy, and all of us went 15 to 25 kill streaks and won the game immediately. And the thing that I didn't like about that is that it kind of, in a way, forces you to play. It's almost like, well, if you don't play this character, then your team's it's not going to do well, because they were going, I think the team up was Bruce Banner, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man. And Iron Man was kind of fun to play. Doctor Strange was kind of fun to play. I hated Bruce Banner, but that was the only character left, so I had to go Bruce Banner. And I don't like that that's like the loop of, you've got all these characters, but you're kind of getting funneled into certain, team ups. And I get it's probably the most unique thing about Marvel Rivals, but I don't know if I liked the implications of like your experience with the game that it was bringing to it.
Yeah, and also I feel like there's it reminds me to talk about Overwatch again, when Pharah and Mercy were really OP, the pharmacy tag team, where basically they would float above the map. Mercy would heal Pharah, and Pharah would just rain down death, and there was nothing you could do about it. Like, it was completely broken. It feels like, as you say, you need a Rocket and a Groot on your teams. So that means if people have already picked, and you're like, well, I kind of need to pick a healer or need to pick a Rocket Groot, like, the game, is there role limits? I'm pretty sure there's not. It's not like 2 attackers, 2 tanks, 2 healers or anything like that.
I didn't notice something like that.
There's little icons like everywhere on the selection screen that it doesn't really it needs maybe a better visual language to tell you if your team's balanced or not. But yeah, I found it, and again, because it's a closed beta, not closed. It's a closed beta. A lot of people were dying, immediately changing a character, being like, "Oh, I'll try this, I'll try this." So very few matches felt like real kind of push and pulls. But the ones that did feel like that, you could tell that, okay, there's like a very, very loose meta developing here. Like, Scarlet Witch is incredible if you know how to use her. Like, you see a lot of Scarlet Witches. You see a lot of, it's called like
Venom.
Maybe
Venom.
You see a lot of Venom. You see a lot of, there's a guy with like a big like magic sword kind of thing. But yeah,
Magic, I think.
No, Magic's the lassie that's in Midnight
She's
Suns.
really
it's
good.
It's like a black guy that has like silver armor and has like a kind of sword in front of him.
Is it Namor from?
No, it's no Aquaman. I'm not sure what his name is. It's like Excalibur or something like that. I don't know. It's a character. It's a character that I didn't immediately recognize, but I was getting absolutely wrecked by. But yeah, I think they obviously have infinite options for characters, and when I spoke to them at SJF, they were very much like, yeah, we can basically do what we want, because they're not going to say this, but I bet that all that Disney will say to them is that if you're going to touch on anything that's MCU adjacent, speak to us first, but otherwise who you want in, and even better, see if you start putting characters in unison with our films, that'd be great. Like, you imagine a world where if Rivals came out last year, this season would be Deadpool and Wolverine, like they'd be the end of the battle pass, all that stuff, instead of like there's like a Venom costume, an Iron Man costume. What do you think of Waifu Galactus?
I can't say I'm not much of a Marvel guy these days. I've really fallen off of it to the point of, like, I think I'm going to see Deadpool this week, but do I really?
I'm going to see it on Friday, and I know everything that happens in it thanks to TikTok.
I've actually managed to avoid it, because if anything would spoil it for me, it would really take away any reason I have to go and see it at this point.
I should hate Deadpool because it's like, it's pure Rick and Morty humor, but
Yeah.
there's something about it is still. I think it's because the films are so violent. Like that appeals to me. I need to see Wolverine in the yellow suit on the big screen. Like, yeah, game needs more X-Men. There's not enough X-Men in it.
Yeah, yeah, but I do think that's the thing that I'm saying. Like, there's a nice cross promotion there. If you're like tying it into Marvel, like Fantastic Four comes out next year, so you know, add in characters there alongside of that, and I think it really could hit off in that regard. And I think because there's that recognizability, but I think within the game itself, like I was saying, you need more readability. I didn't feel like I got to the point yet in that game where I was going, oh, there's a X character. We need to do this to counter it. Whereas you get that in a lot of hero shooters. You get it in Overwatch. You even get it in like you know my favorite shooter at the moment, the finals. I like that game. You know, you go, oh, they've got a heavy, or they've got a light, or they've got a medium. We need to do this to counter that. I don't think there's like we're there at that point, and I suppose it's that nice early space of any new competitive shooter where everyone's learning, so not like the meta hasn't formed. You aren't getting destroyed just by people who are sweating it. We're playing the game at the same time and learning the game at the same time as everyone else. But yeah, I just don't think there's enough there to really, for me to like go, oh yeah, I'm going to play this beyond this closed beta.
The closed beta. Well, we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm always interested in something that has the tiniest chance to hook me in an Overwatchian way, because Overwatch 2 certainly ain't doing it. But yeah, the closed beta is currently running. They seem to be giving out a lot of codes.
Yeah.
I think I have an invite code or something. Maybe I put it on Twitter for the VGC maniacs that have listened this long. But until we know more about Marvel Rivals, until we have a better picture about what the meta is, which I think it's just going to be play as the Punisher, go into his like turret mode and just
Soldier
mow
76,
people
you mean?
Well, exactly. Much like in Concord, how I just played as like the first person shooter guy. I was having a lot of fun playing as Punisher, just be like, I don't care about abilities. I just want to shoot. I just want to get kills. I'm not even contributing. Let me just be aggro. Well, until next time, you can check out Aaron on Push Square on Twitter at what's your at Aaron Bain?
Aaron Bain _ because somebody took just Aaron Bain.
Yeah,
little rat.
Well, we're going to go and batter him. But until then, check out VGC. Subscribe to the channel for all your Marvel Rivals hot news. Say goodbye, Aaron.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next time.